Hey, what's going on, everybody? Big Country here. Welcome back to Country Living. And in an attempt not to make this video too long, I need to just get right into it. So what are we looking at today? We're looking at the BULK RTA from Mark VapnFagan himself and Omir, whatever. It's a big ass mofo. Let's go. Alright, there's the packaging that the BULK RTA comes in. Designed by VapnFagan. Omir on the top. Scratch and sniff. The BULK RTA on the bottom. And then the components of the package on the back. And inside that box you get the BULK RTA, which I have the 6mm bubble glass on it, along with the spare glass, which is the 3mm glass. You have a pack of cotton, the BULK user manual, and your goodie bag here. And in the goodie bag you have an Allen wrench, a bunch of O-rings, extra grub screws, and some coils. And I believe these are framed staple coils, which we are going to use in today's build. Taking a closer look at the BULK RTA, let's go on the top. You have this massive, this is like a monster sized drip tip. I like wide bore drip tips, wide mouth drip tips, and this right here is just monstrous. So this has been too big for me, so I've been using a normal goon style drip tip. Kind of show you what it looks like while it's on there. This is just an OG Goon 1.5 drip tip. This is much better compared. Look how big it is in comparison. It's crazy. But it also has that granddad drip tip, the frosted white, taller one, skinny one. And I didn't like it. I kind of threw it across my table the other day, but I can't find it now. So, in any case, this is the drip tip that I prefer, the goon style. And then look at the top here. This is the top fill system. You got some knurling around the top. Unscrew it a few times. Then you open it up. You have nice kidney shaped juice ports. Not very big for a 28mm. You think they'd be much bigger, but I mean, it's still big enough for your unicorn tips, but you would think it'd be much bigger compared to, considering how big this RTA is. Screw it back on. Good threading. Screw down. This is the retail version, like I've said, and you got the black O-rings, bubble glass, airflow control ring on the bottom. It does have 3 intakes, 1, 2, and 3. Stops in all positions. Fully closed it stops. Fully open it stops. Nice tolerance from the AFC. And then you go to the bottom. This is the BULK RTA by Omir and VapnFagan. Now, some people may use this on a hybrid. I don't think that is hybrid safe myself. Mark even said, VapnFagan said in his review when he was talking about in interviews and so forth, he didn't even consider having a protruding 510 pin. He didn't even consider anybody else wanting to use this on a hybrid mod. And myself, I don't think tanks belong on a hybrid to begin with, but to each his own. So let's take the deck apart. Look on the inside. You have nice conical shaving on the inside. Very nice threads. Nice fine threading for the top section to screw into the base. And here's the deck. This is the BTFC deck. If you've had the BTFC RDA, then you know that it's got the 4 grub screws up top. You got positive block, negative block. Your airflow comes in from the bottom, and your coils go right inside where those holes are, where the screws are. 4 hex head grub screws, which is what I like. And you got your wicking ports right here. You notice how the threading does not go all the way around the deck. It's just open. Some people like that, some people don't. Nice frown threading. The important thing is when you go to put this on, put it back on together, you got to make sure it's straight and back up a little bit, and you just feel it go right in, and then it goes in perfectly. A little squeaky on the threadies, but it's smooth and clean. I think the squeakiness comes from where those gaps are in the threading for the wicking channels. I like the BTFC RDA, so and it's really good flavor. And the thing I said in my video about that is I loved the bottom airflow flavor, but hated the bottom airflow overdrip, because I'm an overdripper, always have been. So it's like the thing that I loved about the BTFC was also the same thing I did not like about the BTFC. Alright, now this good looking little bad boy right here, this build stand, all acrylic or resin or whatever it is, you can get from Tenderfoot Stands off of Instagram. I'll leave a link for him in the description, and also on Facebook. Shout out to him. I saw him post this there a couple weeks ago on the gram, and I immediately hit him up because I just think this is gorgeous. The amber, the orange, this just screams summer, right? Alright, so let's put a build in this thing. Put these coils in this thing right now.
Silent nights recalling you, a souvenir of what it could be. Pieces of my mind are yours. I forgot the parts I'm missing.
So once you get your coil leads in the post holes, just put your finger on top of them and hold them into place while you tighten the leads down.
That we are dancing like the nights are never
Get my tool rod, put it through there, bend it over, get the other coil, do the same thing with that one. There you go. Once you get your coils where you want it, nice and straight, all you gotta do now is pull these leads up, just like so, and you want to put it right up. There you go, just like that. Now you can pull them off the deck a little bit if you want. They're not touching. They're a little close, but they're not touching. So these will be just fine, right on top of the airflow. So from a cold build on the Captain PD270, it's 0.11. So let's start pulsing these. Let's see what we get out of them.
like nothing's ever broken, and I pretend that we are dancing like the nights are never ending. We will live a life, we will live a life, live a life, we will live a life in the fast lane. We will live a life, we will live a life, live a life, we will.
Look at that. Nice, perfect glow from the inside out. And it's 0.15. I'm going to cool down and put some wood chips. So what you do from now, take your scissors. Want to see some shit? This is a really good scissors. So if you want to get some of these on Amazon, Fiskars Titanium, really good scissors. So what I do is I take my wicks and I'll I'll take this right here, my scissors, I'll put it right under the wicking chamber, and I pull my leads right into it, put a little bit of tension, and snap. The juice I'm going to be using today is my all-day vape, every day. Got fresh delivery in today, and it is the one strawberry. It's a strawberry cereal donut milk. If you don't know anything about this, you really should try some of this out. You can get it anywhere. 8Vape, Mavi Pro, LFNT Man, and if you go to lfntman.com, you can use code country15, save 15%. Because since this doesn't really have any wicking ports like a solid chamber, it's open. You want to wet the wicks so you can form them and place them inside the wicking area so they will stay there and not get any threading on or any cotton on your threading when you're putting it down the top cap. Do that, let's pour some over the coils, pulse some heat. So there's that. So now let's just keep doing this, get your wicks nice and saturated. Alright, take your tweezers, start tucking it in. Now you see, we're still a little heavy on the wick down bottom, so I'll take my scissors under the deck again and I trim it off. Same thing on this side, under the deck, trim it off. It's perfect. May look like a lot of cotton, but I'm telling you, it's not. You get too little cotton, it's going to be nice, or it's going to be just a really super wet, a lot of spit back vape. If you get too little, it's going to have dry hit heaven. So let's go down, start putting this on. The barrel should kind of start acting like a pushback on that cotton. And then once you start threading, you got it all crooked. Let's take the top fill off. And there you go. That is the BULK RTA from Omea, or Omier, whatever, and Mark. The VapnFagan. Now, when I have the BTFC right here, you know, I gave this thing a solid review when Ogvape sent it to me, and I gave it a solid review. The one thing I said, the thing that I loved about it is also the thing that I didn't like about it was the bottom airflow gives you that great flavor, but I'm a messy ass dripper, and I hate how bottom airflow gets messy. So it was kind of a my backhanded compliment when it came to that. But that was the only thing that I could point against the BTFC was my lack of being able to drip without making a mess.
I'm the same way, but when I drip on that one, I tip it sideways. So
Yeah.
that way when I drip, it hits the wall and then it rolls down into the juice well. So that way I still over drip, but I'm less likely to over drip.
Right. So
Drip it down the center.
Yeah, I was opening up with like that because, you know, with I hate to use the term lack of success with this thing because it's a great RDA. The ones who've had it, I think everybody can say the same thing. It's a good RDA. Mm-hmm. And I've heard you mention the lack of promoting and Ogvape handling the whole marketing thing was the cause of the downfall, which I can agree with. But with the lack of success of the BTFC, I mean, what the confidence you had to bring this deck into an RTA is like, where did that come from? Like, why did you decide to use this same deck to go to an RTA with a whole new company?
Because I found myself using a BTFC build deck more than any other RDA, and I seen more and more photos of the BTFC and people telling me like how easy it was to build on. And I myself, like, I prefer an atomizer that's easy to build on. I don't like something that's complicated or takes me more than 10 minutes to build, or I got to break out my magnifier or something like that. I like something that's simple. And that was like the only build deck, aside from the drop and maybe a few others, that was so easy to build on. So right when that BTFC was finished, I told Ogvape, like, we have to make an RTA. Like, but they were for it, then they were against it, they were for it, against it. And I'm like, you know what, screw this. I'm going to take the design somewhere else. And they said, sure, go ahead. So
they just free range just gave it to you, said you can have it.
Yep. They told me right over Skype, you could have it. I'm like, all right, sweet. Because I mean, right when that RDA was done, I had my mind set on an RTA.
So
I was ready to build an RTA.
So that was just easy enough to give you the deck. Then why not take the name and name it the BTFC RTA?
Because, well, that was the original plan. The prototype had bottom airflow, top airflow. Of course, BTFC stands for bottom top flavor clouds.
Yeah, yep, you're right. Yeah.
The BULK had the top airflow. I never used the top airflow. When I did use the top airflow in the BULK, it was horrible. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get rid of the top airflow, and then we can kind of widen the chimney section a little bit. We could do this, do that. So we eliminated top airflow, which means we had to change the name because it doesn't have top airflow anymore. So that's the reason.
I always used it with the bottom wide open, and when and the top I would leave one hole open. That was it. Even now, that's just the way I use it when I do it.
It was originally going to be the BTFC RTA, but
now I think I remember hearing you say that. You said they took the top airflow out, so it wouldn't make sense to call the BULK the beat. Yeah, okay, I remember you saying that now. All right, so did the BULK did it turn out the way you expected it to be, or is there anything that you wanted that Omer would not put in or could not put in for design reasons?
Aside from the really large black drip tip, which I don't like, I don't think anyone likes. I wanted a 3-piece tank section where you could, I mean, you could still kind of remove the deck with juice in there. You just got to be careful. But I would have preferred a like 3-piece tank section. But in order to do that, the tank would have been much larger. It would have been way more expensive. So now it's just like glass on the build deck rather than having like your top cap, your glass, your bottom cap, screw it together, and then screw that onto the build deck. So they couldn't do that because it was been, too expensive, would have been too large, blah, 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 blah. So other than that, though, everything turned out exactly how I wanted it. Like everything. It came out beautiful.
So it's got 3 air slots, intake slots on the bottom here. So I look at this and I know where it's big, and the 3 makes it maybe balanced. But couldn't you have gotten the same achievement off of 2 as opposed to having 3? Like, is there a particular reason design-wise of why there's 3 intakes?
We tried 2, but I don't know. 3. They made a few prototypes. They made one with 2 large ones, one with 3, and then we had the top airflow. I think we went through 5 or 6 different ones, and my favorite one happened to be the one with 3 air slots. Like, I don't know if there was a big night and day difference, but just something about the 3 airflow slot one was just, I enjoyed it more with the 2. And even though it's, it still has 3 air slots, it still is kind of restricted. It's not wide open like you would expect.
Now, there's a certain niche of people that like 28s or 30s or anything above a 25, which kind of, and if you would have went with a 24 or a 25, it probably would have sold more units total just because of the size. So with that in mind, I'm sure you thought about it, and so did Omir during production. Why choose the 28?
I talked to a few companies in China, and when I brought the idea of 28 millimeter, they were totally against it. China does not like making big atomizers because they know they're not going to sell. Mm-hmm. But Omir was the one company that was cool at doing 28. And the reason I wanted to do 28 was because I wanted to keep the BTFC build deck like almost the exact same size. I knew if it was any smaller, then the post holes would have been smaller, the screws would have been smaller, and it would have just been too small and cramped to build on. And I wanted to keep it big, easy. I wanted big wicking channels. Everything that I struggle with when it comes to building RTAs, I wanted to make sure with this one I didn't struggle in it on building anything. So the reason, in order to keep that size build deck, we had to make it 28 millimeters.
It definitely is easy to build. I mean, for sure. I mean, that's one of the great things about the deck. It's super easy to build. You can't mess it up. You just can't. So how's the launch been? Has it been successful in Omir as a manufacturing eyes and yours? Like, I guess units, are they as expected or wanted to be?
The feedback's been really good. Omir has been as good as they probably could be. I later found out after like everything is done with that Omir's not really, they're not even like, they're tiny. I honestly think it's only like 2 or 3 people at Omir. The problem is, even though the RTA is good and it's selling, they don't know how to get it out there. Like, they don't know what a distributor is. They don't know, how to get it into a certain country. They don't even know who reviewers are. So I'm trying to teach them at the same time doing all the work. So it's kind of a headache. It's really stressful, honestly.
Well,
but I mean, it's doing good. As it stands, it's doing good, but like, it's not in the UK yet. It's not in, a few other places. Like, it's in the Philippines, but it's not in the UK, which kind of makes no sense. But yeah, working with Omir, since they're so small, is really hard and stressful.
I put a post out in my group the other day asking if there was anything they can ask Mark Fagan. What would it be about the bulk RTA? And I've got a few responses from that, and one of those was like, was there any chance of you bringing out the bulk as a 28 millimeter RDA?
I don't know, because I guess it's possible, but the BTFC, I think is perfect where it's at. Mm-hmm. I mean, of course, 28 would be a little bit better and bigger, but it might change the flavor on it. So, I mean, anything's possible. I don't want to say no, it'll never happen, but anything's possible. I mean, as far as 30 millimeter, I know that will never happen because 30 is just too big. But
right.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be kind of weird, but it might happen. It could happen.
It would be having a BTFC 24 out there on the market. I mean, that's not really readily available anymore, though, is it? I guess Ogvape's kind of just like, I don't know what the hell they're doing.
I don't know. They say they're not making anymore. They haven't paid me anything, but I keep seeing them pop up more and more every day. So I don't know if they're still making them and just not telling me or what the deal is. But I mean, I think if anything, you'll probably see, if the bulk is successful, you'll see a smaller version of the RTA before you see a 28 millimeter BTFC.
Oh, something to look for. Okay. I guess that nice little segue into the next. If you had any future projects that you could speak of, or ideas of wants, or things that you have in mind.
Absolutely nothing, because I am done doing projects with smaller companies. Unless there's a big company out there like Geek Vape or Otofo or somebody that's willing to work with me, which I highly doubt, I'm probably not doing more projects, because working with the smaller companies is just so stressful. It pisses me off so bad to where I just want to quit everything and like, you know what, screw this, because that's how stressful it gets. So this is my last small company. I'm done with it.
Well, hell, as of late, it seems like anybody can get in with Hell Vape, so that could be your door. Send them an email. I mean, Hell Vape's doing a bunch of everything for everybody these days.
Yeah, Hell Vape does not like me. Somebody put in a bad word about me, so they won't even say a word. They won't even talk to me.
Lord have mercy. All right, well, Mr. Fagan, that's pretty much all I wanted to ask. Kind of the inside of the minds of the designer, get some ideas behind them, and just get their thoughts on their item. And I thought it'd be a cool thing to have in the video and the review. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me. I know it's post Kevin, so you're in a very good mood. So
post Kevin, yes.
So you want to stick around for final thoughts, or you want to bounce out?
Sure, I'll stick around. No problem.
All right, guys, that was the interview with the designer of the BULK RTA, and you saw the overhead prior to that. So let's talk about my overall feelings and impressions of the BULK RTA. Starting with the things I don't like is, starting from the top, is that massive monster-ass drip tip they put with it. And and even the what they call it, the granddaddy white frosted tall drip tip, I didn't like that one either. And with the white one, the tolerance of the O-ring didn't seem very well. Like I when I was using it, it would be in my mouth, and I would feel it literally shifting while I'm vaping or pull out my mouth. So when I put the goon right off of my goon on here, it fits fine. It doesn't move. It's got good tolerance. Still a little loose, not super tight. Not gonna fall out or anything, but it's not as snug as it should be on most Addies. So I think maybe it's the issue. Maybe it's because it's a clear O-ring instead of a black O-ring, possibly. But
I think you might be right on that one.
So
yeah, I wish it was a little bit tighter also.
So yeah, maybe black O-ring would have fixed that. That would have been a little better. Scroll down to the knurling. The knurling's good because you get a nice grip, but for me, it's just a little. It's not quite as smooth. It's a little sharper. Not, I don't want to say sharp. A little more rough than I tend to like, because it's not. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me or my sensitive ass hands apparently, but it's just a little sharper than I like. But it's still, still get the good grip, which that's pretty much what that knurling's for, so you can get a grip. So, like I said, maybe it's my pussy hands.
When they first designed it, they had it nice and smooth, and I said no, because whenever I go to rinse my atomizer and my hands are wet and I try to remove a cap, it never works. I'm like, make that shit rough as hell. So if I got juice in my hands, I can still remove that top fill.
There you go. So
yeah, it's like that on purpose.
Rough on purpose. Okay. And I will say the deck. I love the BTFC deck I have because it's super easy to build. But this one is. I haven't done measurements. I don't know, but it feels to me like it's a smidget smaller than the RDA, because I feel like the 3mm coils you put into the RTA work, but I think a 2.5mm work better in this RTA deck versus the 3 because of just a smidget less room in the tank as opposed to the RDA. Other than that, that's pretty much all I can say about about anything that might not even a dislike. It's just things that could improve, in my opinion. Now, what I like about this thing, I mean, it's massive. It's a monster. Now, it's not all day for me at all. It stays home on my desk. It's just too big. I don't feel like carrying this big old mod around me all the time. I just carry something a little more compact and light as my daily carry. Now, with something this big, you tend to think the flavor is not quite as good, because most of the time you get a massive 28 or 30, and a lot of times the flavor isn't as good. Now, but the flavor on this, honestly, I'm not saying it's dripper flavor. It isn't, okay? It's not like dripping on a goon or something low profile. But the flavor for this tank is really, really good. I was really impressed of how much I do like the flavor on this tank. And I think it comes because the bottom airflow comes up below, and you got that conical air shape, and it's not really traveling. The further vapors got to travel, the more flavor loss you have. So if you look at it, if you could see this, if it was invisible, the coils are like right there. And it's like maybe 7 to 8mm from your mouth. So it's less travel distance for vapor, provides the better flavor. So that's why this thing here, in my opinion, has the flavor that it does have. I like the 6ml bubble glass. The huge airflow, fully adjustable. If you want huge clouds, you open it wide open. You get a lot of air, and you can constrict it down to where you want it if you want that really restrictive lung hit, or if you want a wide open cloud chuck and blast. Another great thing is this thing, I'm not saying you can't, it won't leak. It's leak proof, because anytime air goes in, something can leak if something happens. But here's the thing about why this thing is really, really leak resistance. The juice ports, they come in right here at the bottom of the top cap of the barrel, and your coils where the airflow is up probably about 3 millimeters from the bottom of that. So in order for this thing to actually leak, the juice has got to go down there through your wicks and flood up over the airflow to come out the bottom airflow. If your bottom airflow is higher than your juice intake, it's just not going to leak. It's not. I mean, someone, you can, in the comments, going to make it leak, I'm sure. Make it happen if you really, really want it to. But for normal use, it's not going to leak at all because of the staggered of how high the airflow is versus where the juice comes in.
You got to flood it real bad to get this thing to leak. So.
Yeah, I haven't experienced anything, anything at all. No wetness in the AFC at all. The machine quality, it's really, really good. The threading, you get some kind of scrunchy in the threading when the top cap's going on, but that's just because of the non-solid thread because of the juice ports. And you can hear a little scratching, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, you got to make sure, because of those wick channels cutting into the threads, as long as you line up that tank with the deck, got to be like straight. If it just, a little bit off, then...
Yeah, even when you turn it just a smidge it back, you can feel it pop in. If you have it straight, you back turn just a little bit, like you do on everything, whether it be a top system or whatever, you feel it just pop in and you're ready to go. All right, so where I got mine, believe it or not, I've heard people say no links in the description for months now, and I've told them all a bunch of bullshit liars. They're full of shit, trying to make a trend or whatever, because I could not find it in the TOS anywhere. I just couldn't. The other day, I finally found that shit. It's like fucking subsection 17ZZZ down below. It's like so deep in the TOS, it's hard to find. But I finally found it, and yes, it does point out no nicotine products. It says specifically nicotine products, along with human trafficking and slave driving and shit. So we're in that category. So I can't put a link in the description, but I will tell you, I got mine for $29.99 from Element Vape. I'm not sure who else may have it in stock right now, but I do know Element Vape does, because I was just on that site a few minutes ago before I started recording, so they still have it live there.
I know E-Ciggity got it, and Heaven Gifts, and Google is your friend.
Yeah, Google is everybody's best friend. That's it. That's all my thoughts on the BTFC RTA. The BULK RTA. I cannot believe I said BTFC. I'm so sorry, Mark. Yeah, I caught it during editing. Let me know if you have one of these, if you plan on getting one of these, and your thoughts in the description, good or bad, either way. And if you don't know who this guy is, VapnFagan, I'll have a link for him in the description. He's not a nicotine site, but he might be. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, Mark. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Thanks for all the support, and until next video, vape it out, Mark. Just keep on vaping and living, baby.
Sorry, I didn't realize that you were doing a video.
Oh my God.
I'm so sorry.
Welcome, Angela.
How are you?